Hello friends, welcome once again to Rick's Garage. Today we have a 2011 Chrysler 200. It's my own personal vehicle. I used to use it to commute back and forth to work until I retired last year. Now that I'm retired, we don't use it very much, and herein lies the problem. It sat out in the yard most of the winter, and I just tried to start it the other day and it would not start. So I brought it into the garage and I charged up the battery, and a fully charged battery should give you about 12.56 volts, something in that area. And I charged it all day, and the best I could get out of it was 11.9 volts. So it kind of tells me there may be a problem with the battery. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run a little test on it with a device that will put a load on the battery and see what the result is. Now this tool I'm going to use is a very inexpensive tool. Yes, it's a little bit outdated, but it does work and it is very effective. I try to use tools that the average backyard guy could expect to own. My channel is geared toward the do-it-yourselfer. So let's put this tool on and give it a test and see what happens here. So I've hooked it up to the positive and negative terminals. And as you can see, it's reporting less than 12 volts, as I had mentioned earlier. So I'm going to press the button that puts a load on the battery, and we'll see how it reacts. You're supposed to hold this button down for about 20 seconds and then release it. So I'm holding the button, and you can see that the voltage is slowly dropping. It's sinking like a lead balloon. And as long as I hold this button, it's continuing to drop. It's not leveling off. It's way past bad now. Now when I release this button, it should make it back to where it was. As you can see, it didn't quite do that. I'm pretty confident this battery is bad. It's been in this car for 3 years. I would hope the battery would last a little longer than that. But as I said before, the car has been out in the cold and not being used. Nothing will kill a battery faster than that. So we're going to go ahead and replace this battery. So the first thing we're going to do here, before we try to remove the battery from the inner fender, is we're going to undo the negative terminal. The 15 millimeter. It's a good idea anytime you do any kind of work on a vehicle to disconnect the negative battery terminal, especially if you're working on something electrical. Okay, we got that disconnected and out of the way. Now off camera, I'm going to go ahead and jack up the car and remove the front wheel. This would be the driver's side that we're going to need to remove the front wheel from. So as you can see off camera, I went ahead and jacked up the car and removed the wheel. I've got a jack stand under the front, and the reason I have a jack on the back is to not stress the body of the car too much. If you're familiar with any of these unitized bodies, if you jack up the front of the car too high, the back wheel will come off the ground as well. So that's why I have the jack in the back, just to not stress the body. Also, I have wheel chucks in the back wheel on the other side. Okay, we've got a few fasteners here we have to undo to get this inner fender out so we can access the battery. So I've got a Phillips screwdriver here, and I'm going to undo this one right here. And I need a little pry thing to... Now for this next one, we're going to need a 7 millimeter. Okay, there's a number of little fasteners here and there. You got some here, and I'm going to go ahead off camera and get the rest of them off. Okay, off camera I finished pulling all the fasteners, and now we're going to try to slide this inner fender out. So I'm going to grasp it here and try to push it this way and down at the same time. Doesn't seem to be working out too well. Oh, I see it's caught on this. All right, there we go. So now we can pull it right out. Okay. So we have the inner fender out. And now we have access to the battery. Okay, so now we're looking at the positive terminal on the battery. Surprisingly, there's almost no corrosion. So that's really good. I think the reason for it, I use these little anti-corrosion pads underneath. So we're going to try to disconnect the positive terminal first. Sorry, I keep hitting my camera. It's kind of hard to sometimes to have room to work, have your camera in position to give the audience a good view. It's always a challenge. I gotta give that a few love taps here and there to get it loose. There's no danger of any sort of spark because, as you recall, we disconnected the negative terminal. So I'm just gonna give this a few little taps here. Yeah, that ought to be loose enough. There we go. And that's up and out. And we'll replace these after. They did a good job. One of these problems of having the batteries inside the fender is you don't have access to them to see if they're corroding or not. In this particular instance, they were not, so that's good. All right, so now we're going to unbolt the battery itself from the housing, and we're going to slide it out so we can access the negative terminal. So I'm going to go ahead and unbolt the straps that hold the battery in place. All right, I'm going to spray a little bit of penetrating oil here and there on these nuts and bolts that hold this battery in. I use Chrysler. I think it's the best. A lot of people ask me about Chrysler. And it's not generally available in stores. There are some parts of the country where you can buy it, but for the most part you have to buy it online. So now I'm going to attempt to unbolt these straps that hold the battery in place. Alright, that one's out. Now it looks like this one goes straight down and gets out of the way, so I may not need to unbolt that. So let's get the next one. That one was the battery hold down. I don't think you got a good look at it. It was right there. Oops, I still won't come out. Alright, it's out now. Okay, that's out. And this should pull, unhook somehow. There we go. We just got to turn it a little bit to get it out. Okay, so now we can slide the battery toward us and get the negative terminal out. seems to be a little bit stubborn about coming out. There we go. Sorry I keep banging the camera, but that looks like about as far as I'm going to get that out without... there we go. All right, so I got it out a little closer to me, and I'm going to get the positive terminal out of the way as best I can. Try to unbolt the negative terminal with a 12 millimeter. This one uses a 12 millimeter. There are a variety of different, let's see, my camera's in the way here a little bit. Get that out of the way. There are a variety of terminals that can be used. Sorry I keep banging the camera, but like I said, it's kind of tight working in here. Okay, now we're going to see if we can knock that loose a little bit. It looks like that's coming out pretty easily. Yeah, that's off. So now we're free to slide the battery out. There we go, and the battery is out. Okay friends, now that we've got the battery out, to review, the first thing we did was we unbolted the negative battery terminal from inside the engine compartment. Then we safely raised the vehicle, removed the front wheel, and removed the inner fender cover. Then we unbolted this strap right here. We removed the positive terminal. Then we unbolted the battery hold down. We slid the battery out just far enough so we could access the negative battery terminal. We removed that, and then we pulled the battery out. So I'm back with the new battery. When I removed the old battery, I realized it was still under warranty. So I went back to the place where I purchased it, and it was a prorated warranty. It was guaranteed for 5 years, and it was in the car just over 3 years. So they gave me approximately 1/3 of the cost of the battery back. I had a little disagreement concerning the core charge. That was eventually resolved. I'll link a video to that. I did a video on explaining to make sure you don't get ripped off on these prorated warranties. That'll be linked at the end of this video. So anyway, I'm back with the new battery, and we can go ahead and start reinstalling it. Okay, we're ready to reinstall this battery. I've gone ahead and put the date on the battery that we installed it. And I'm going to put these little felt anti-corrosion things on. As you recall, when I removed the battery, there was very little corrosion. I think it was because I had these on it. Where the battery is hidden and you can't see it, corrosion could build up and you'd never know it until your car won't start. So I'm putting these on. That's the first thing I'm doing, and along with the date that I'm installing the battery. What I'm going to do right now is wire brush the inside of these battery terminals. Just to clean them. I'm probably blocking your view. I know I'm blocking the light. And I'm going to clean the negative one. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to slide the battery in only part way so we can get the negative terminal attached. Okay, so with the battery only in part way, we can attach that terminal. I'm going to move the camera so you can get a better look. So with this battery slid only about halfway in, and we've cleaned the two terminals, we're going to try to slide this terminal in. I've tucked the positive terminal up here out of the way for the time being. So let's see if we can get this terminal on. Push it back in a little further, I think. I need a little better angle. There we go. You go get a tiny hammer and tap it down a little bit. There we go. Okay, that's good. So now we can go ahead and tighten that. Okay, I'm ready to try to tighten this terminal. Now the problem I have, there's almost no room to get in there, so I'm going to try to do it with my air ratchet. The problem is, if I try to get my air ratchet, I might well come in contact with the positive terminal. So I'm going to put a little cover over the positive terminal. These came with the battery. And now I'm going to go ahead and try to tighten that terminal. I'm going to use the air ratchet because there's almost no way to get in there without it. Yeah, that's good. I got it tight enough. Now I can tighten it the rest of the way with a wrench. That way there, by having that little red thing on there, I'm not going to accidentally cause a spark. You can see the difficulty in trying to get in there to tighten it. I can't budge it, so I got it pretty tight with that. All right, so that's on there. So now we can push the battery the rest of the way into place. There. That's where the battery goes. And now we're going to go ahead and remove this little cover. And we're going to try to install the positive terminal. And that's on. So now we'll tighten that one. There should be a little more room to work with the positive terminal. And there is. All right, so that's pretty tight. So our terminals are installed. And so next, we're going to put in the hold down, the battery hold down. It's right here. So what you do to install this battery hold down is, if you look here, this twists as you pivot it. So you want to start out in this position and get it into that little hole. I don't think you can see the hole because it's protected by the battery terminal. And then this goes down and you can attach the screw and hold down the battery. Okay, so we're going to get the screw started for the hold down. It's pretty good. It's a 13 millimeter. Okay. Sorry I banged the camera several times there, but we got that in, so that battery is going nowhere. So next, we've got to put this screw back in, which is right here. Now it's simply a matter of attempting to reinstall this inner fender. So we're going to kind of shoehorn it in here. Hereabouts. It's maybe easier said than done. There we go. This has to come this way a little bit. Okay. This needs to go up a little higher. I see. This has to slide over this, and that's not happening. So it'll be a little bit of a struggle getting it lined up. If you keep working at it, you'll get it. This has to go up higher. Okay, I've got that pretty much in position now. So off camera, I'm going to go ahead and plug in the plastic fasteners and the two 7mm screws. Okay, friends, I finished up putting in all those fasteners on the inner fender. I have a couple of assortments of fasteners here for most every make and model. If you break some of the fasteners, which is highly likely when you're removing the inner fender, AutoZone has an assortment of these you can buy. So we're going to go ahead and reconnect this negative terminal. I can hear the car making noise already. Now with this battery having been disconnected, if you need to get an inspection sticker, you're going to have to drive the car about 50 miles or more so the computer can get enough data. If you try to get an inspection sticker right now, what will happen is the car will not pass the emissions because the computer doesn't have enough data. If that happens and you do need a sticker, then go ahead and get a rejection on it, have it pass the safety test. You got 90 days or 60 days, I think it's 60 days in Massachusetts to get the emissions fixed. And so get your sticker so you can drive the car legally, even though it's a rejection for emissions. Then you can drive the car legally until you get to 50 miles or so on it, and then you can go back and have the regular inspection. It'll pass the emissions test as long as you don't have the engine light on. So all that remains to do now is to see if the car will start. Okay, so the car starts right up. So off camera, I'll put the wheel back on and we're going to call this job done. Before I go, let's pull the old sticker off. I put this sticker on 3 years ago when I installed the battery. And I'll make a new sticker and put it on there so that I'll know how long the battery's been in the car. Once again, I want to thank you for watching Rick's Garage. Before I go, I'll post 2 videos to your left. Feel free to click on one or the other, and to your right will be a picture of my avatar in the form of my trusty German Shepherd. Feel free to click on that if you wish to subscribe. So thanks for watching, and we hope to see you all again very, very soon.